Today, because we are receiving many questions also here in YouTube, in the comments, in the messages you are sending about Rodrigo. Rodrigo, who didn't play for Real Madrid yesterday, and many questions about Arsenal. Guys, I'm told that the situation has not changed as of today. So, first point, Arsenal love Rodrigo. When I say Arsenal, is about the management, is about the coach, Mikel Arteta. They consider Rodrigo as a fantastic player, a dream target as a winger. Also because they believe that Nico Williams is impossible to reach this summer. So, for Rodrigo, he remains a strong name for sure in the list at Arsenal, but at the moment, as I always told you, the only way to make the Rodrigo deal happen and to start thinking about the financials, the salary, the transfer fee and all the rest is Rodrigo himself. The only way is if Rodrigo goes to Xabi Alonso and tells him at some point, now in 1 week, in 2 weeks, in 2 months, I want to leave the club. So is Rodrigo deciding? If Rodrigo decides to go, for Arsenal, doors of this deal to negotiate could be open. But in this moment, Rodrigo still didn't tell anything to Xabi Alonso about leaving the club, about leaving Real Madrid. And Real Madrid will not inform Arsenal on any fixed price until they don't have any communication from Rodrigo. They are giving Rodrigo time to have his feeling with Xabi Alonso. They are giving also Xabi Alonso time to understand what he wants to do with Rodrigo. So this World Cup is probably the opportunity to start feeling what they want to do with each other, but in this moment there is no concrete negotiation. There is interest from Arsenal for sure, loving the player, but to understand if they will start a proper negotiation, we have to wait and see what Rodrigo himself wants to do. I wanted to tell you that today Victor Gyokeres remains a priority. His priority remains Arsenal. He wants to go to Arsenal. He wants to play Champions League football for Arsenal. He never rejected Manchester United, but he told Manchester United that his priority would be Arsenal. So let's follow that Gyokeres-Šeško situation at Arsenal still ongoing. But today we can confirm reports from
Moving on, guys, we've got another bombshell update as the media is now telling Arteta to forget about Rodrigo and focus on another forward who could be the new Emile Smith-Rowe of Arsenal. Emile Smith-Rowe was, and still is, Arsenal through and through. The Englishman came through the ranks at the club's academy and made his debut as a teenager. But Smith-Rowe's big break came under Arteta in a Boxing Day game against Chelsea. The versatile attacker played a big part in helping the Arsenal manager keep his job during a difficult spell a few years ago, and everyone felt that he would become a superstar. However, injuries really damaged his Arsenal career, and he was sold to Fulham in the summer of 2024. Arsenal have many top-class players in their squad, but none of them can really do what Smith-Rowe was capable of doing at his peak form. We feel that Morgan Rogers of Aston Villa shares very similar traits to the former Gunners' number 10, and he is an even more powerful player. The 22-year-old is an outrageous dribbler, can play in almost every attacking and midfield position, and he has shown his quality against the big sides already. We think Arsenal should seriously consider a bid for Rogers this summer. Rogers, who plays for Aston Villa, over Real Madrid superstar Rodrigo. Yes, we agree that at first glance it does seem like a ridiculous statement, but hear us out. The Brazilian is definitely incredible, and we would be more than happy if Arsenal ended up signing him. But Rogers is Premier League proven, can hit the ground running, has the ability to play in more positions than Rodrigo, and arguably has an even higher ceiling. Arsenal fans were sad that they never got to see Smith-Rowe fulfill his potential, but we think Rogers will prove to be an even better version of the Englishman if Arteta signs him. We still think Arsenal will go with Rodrigo if that door opens, but another player they should consider is Rogers, even though he is valued at £100 million. Arsenal move forward to sign Brentford midfielder and club captain Christian Norgard. The Premier League star has featured in Denmark, Germany, and Italy before he landed in England with the Bees. Now, enjoying the peak of his career, Christian Norgard has become a transfer target for Arsenal in the market. Arsenal are preparing for Thomas Partey's exit from the club and have made a move for a potential replacement. Lucien Agoum is of interest to Arsenal as the Sevilla midfielder fits the physical profile of a player capable of filling Partey's void. Mikel Arteta likes Premier League experience in his signings, and Arsenal have shown interest in Christian Norgard from Brentford. It now appears that Andrea Berta has made a concrete move for one of his targets after an update was provided by journalist David Ornstein. Ornstein has claimed that Arsenal have made a £9.3 million bid for Brentford midfielder Norgard in the clearest indication yet that Partey is heading towards an Emirates Stadium exit. It is yet unclear as to Brentford's stance on the bid as the Gunners await a response on the offer for the 31-year-old. Norgard is said to be keen on the move across London, and with his contract expiring in June 2027, Brentford may feel now is the right time to cash in on the Danish midfielder. Ornstein hasn't ruled out a move for Agume, as he states that Norgard is among a number of midfield options being looked at by the club. With Martin Zubimendi's imminent arrival, Norgard would arrive very much as a squad player at the Gunners, but would be granted plenty of playing opportunities. Arteta is under pressure to deliver a trophy this season. A player with Norgard's experience in the Premier League can only be a positive for his squad. Norgard is known for his intelligent positioning in the middle of the park and is neat and tidy in possession. He would become an excellent option for Arteta next season, and if the Gunners can acquire his signature, their midfield once again looks bolstered to compete on all four fronts. Fabio Vieira is ready to return to Arsenal. What should Arteta do with him? Arsenal loanee Fabio Vieira produced a dire display for Porto against Al Ahly in the Club World Cup in New Jersey. The game ended 4-4 with goals from Rodrigo Mora, William Gomez, Samuel Agahawa, and Pepe cancelled out by a hat-trick from Wessam Abo Ali and a strike from Mohamed Ali Ben Romdani. The result wasn't enough for Porto to progress into the knockout stages of the competition, with Palmeiras and Inter Miami finishing in the top two in Group A. As the European team in the group, the Portuguese Giants had been expected to comfortably get through into the last 16, and thus the outcome has unsurprisingly been deemed a huge failure in Portuguese media. Vieira impressed against Inter Miami in Porto's last match, but the playmaker failed to replicate what he produced in Atlanta, delivering a performance to forget in what could have been his final appearance for his boyhood club. Vieira struggled in the opening match against Palmeiras when Porto boss Martin Anselmi opted to deploy him in a front three. Against Miami, the 25-year-old was selected in a deeper role, which got the best out of him as a playmaker. Despite this, Anselmi reverted to using Vieira as a forward against the Egyptian champions, deploying him to the right of striker Danny Namazo in the first half. Unsurprisingly, the attacking midfielder struggled to impose himself in this role, managing just 30 touches in his 69 minutes on the pitch before being hooked. While he did register an assist for Agahawa from a corner, he also conceded a penalty with a reckless trip inside the box, finishing the game having completed just 13 passes, creating no chances from open play and taking just one shot. This was a peripheral display from a player who looked so effective deeper on the pitch against Miami, but looks lost in forward areas. Porto reportedly want to sign Vieira permanently, although it wouldn't be a surprise if the Primeira Liga club's hierarchy changed their minds after watching him in New Jersey. They are also said to not be optimistic about their ability to pay what Arsenal want for the player, and thus Vieira is now expected to return to London Colney for pre-season training in a matter of weeks. This therefore may have been his final match in a Porto shirt, and it is certainly a sad way for him to bow out. The showing summed up exactly why Mikel Arteta cannot rely upon him to provide cover and competition for Martin Odegaard. While he's excellent at progressing the ball from deep areas when deployed in midfield, he struggles to provide the creativity in the final third that Arsenal would want from a potential Odegaard backup. For this reason, once he returns to N5 this summer, it must be communicated to him that he has no future at Arsenal and the Gunners must look to cash in. The North Londoners may have to accept that they will have to sanction a cut-price departure for the player. And that wraps up today's biggest Arsenal news. If you enjoyed the update and want to stay on top of everything happening with the Gunners, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come on, Arsenal!